Have you ever wondered why your financial life seems stuck, even though you pray and work hard? That feeling that there is an invisible barrier between you and prosperity can be distressing. You look around and see people prospering, building, moving forward, and inside you arises that question, has God forgotten me? But the truth is, God never forgets his children. The problem is not in the promise, but in something that blocks it. It's like having an abundant fountain of water ready to flow, but the faucet remains closed. The Bible is clear. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. Many times it is not the lack of faith, effort, or intelligence that prevents prosperity, but hidden patterns that function like spiritual chains. Chains that cannot be seen with the naked eye, but that suffocate the heart and trap the mind. And the most intriguing part, these chains do not come from outside, they come from within. They are habits, thoughts, choices, and attitudes that, when repeated, close the doors of abundance. God is a father who longs to see his children fulfilled. Biblical prosperity is not just money. It is health, balance, a united family, peace of mind, and a fulfilled purpose. But when certain inner prisons take hold, all of this remains like an inheritance that is never withdrawn. It's like inheriting a fortune and leaving it forgotten in the bank. You have the right, but you don't enjoy it. And many spend their lives like this, believing that prosperity is only for a few chosen ones, when in reality it has already been promised to everyone who plants with faith, discipline, and gratitude. Today, I want to reveal something that can radically change the way you see your financial and spiritual life. There are invisible blockages that act like silent thieves. They seem small, normal, even acceptable, but behind them lies devastating power. I will show you each of them clearly, and also how to replace them with attitudes that release the prosperity that is already yours by right. The first one is procrastination. It seems harmless, but it is one of the greatest thieves of abundance. How many times have you said, "Tomorrow I'll start. When I'm more prepared, I'll try. I'll leave it for next week"? The problem is that tomorrow never comes. While you delay, time passes, opportunities slip away, and your life becomes like a fertile field full of seeds kept in your pocket. The soil is ready, but nothing grows because you never sowed the seed. Procrastination is treacherous because it disguises itself as prudence. It looks like you're just waiting for the right time, but in truth it's fear hiding behind excuses. It's like looking at a mighty river and refusing to use the water because you don't yet have the perfect bucket. The result? The river passes, the season changes, and you are left empty. The Bible tells of the parable of the talents, where a servant buried what he received out of fear, and in the end lost everything. That is the picture of procrastination, burying opportunities that God has already placed in your hands. And the worst part is that each time you delay, your mind starts to create a pattern of escape. The brain begins to seek easy rewards, quick pleasures, cheap dopamine, endless scrolling on the phone, distractions, short-term vices. Meanwhile, your identity as God's heir is being suffocated. You begin to believe you were not born to prosper, when in reality, you are simply feeding a cycle of postponement. But here is the good news. Procrastination is not destiny, it is a habit, and habits can be broken. There is a simple key that can begin to turn this page today: immediate movement. You know that impulse to leave it for later. Interrupt it with action. Count from 5 to 1 and do something small. Read one page, write one sentence, send one message. Each micro-action reinforces in your brain a new identity, that of someone who acts, not someone who delays. Discipline is born from small steps, not giant leaps, and each step taken today opens the way for harvests tomorrow. The field responds to planting, not to intentions. God multiplies seeds that are sown, not seeds that are kept. If you feel that procrastination has been robbing you, decide right now to plant something, no matter how small. Because the greatest enemy of your prosperity may not be the lack of resources, but the lack of action at the right time. The second hidden enemy of prosperity is empty desires. Desires that look like satisfaction, but actually drain your energy and leave you hollow. In our world today, one of the clearest examples of this is the addiction to instant gratification. Whether it's the endless pursuit of pleasures without purpose, or the consumption of things that promise joy but deliver emptiness, this cycle steals more than money. It steals destiny. Think of it like pouring water into the desert. A river is powerful, but when it is not directed toward fertile soil, it vanishes into the sand. That is what happens when your God-given energy is wasted on empty pursuits. Pleasure in itself is not evil. God created joy, intimacy, and beauty. But when desire is misdirected, when it becomes detached from purpose, it stops being a blessing and starts being a thief. Napoleon Hill himself wrote about sexual energy and how it could be transmuted into creativity, drive, and success. He noticed that many of the most accomplished men and women had learned how to redirect their desires into building, creating, and serving. Instead of being enslaved by urges, they harnessed them like a dam that channels water into electricity, producing light for an entire city. The same force that can enslave can also set you free if directed with discipline. The Bible gives the same warning: do not love the world or the things in the world, for the world is passing away along with its desires, but whoever does the will of God abides forever. 1 John 2:15-17. When you attach yourself to desires that do not multiply life, you slowly destroy the harvest God had prepared for you. It looks harmless at first, scrolling late at night, feeding on fantasies, chasing validation. But every moment invested in emptiness is a seed that cannot grow, and the hidden cost is not only time, it's your identity. Living in secret, chasing illusions erodes self-respect. Each moment of indulgence whispers to your spirit, you have no control. The more you believe that lie, the harder it becomes to rise. Relationships weaken, opportunities slip away, creativity dies, and yet the hunger remains. That is why so many feel stuck, because the well of their energy is being poured into sand. But here lies the breakthrough. What if every impulse could become fuel for construction instead of destruction? Imagine that moment when the urge rises. Instead of surrendering to it, you redirect it. You write down a vision, you exercise, you study, you create. Suddenly, the same force that was stealing your future becomes the motor driving your destiny. This is what Hill called the transmutation of energy, and what Scripture calls renewing of the mind. Your brain is designed with a filter, the reticular activating system, that highlights what you choose to prioritize. If you keep feeding distractions, it will keep showing you distractions. But if you decide to focus on creation, purpose, and impact, suddenly opportunities begin to appear everywhere. It's not that they weren't there before. It's that your eyes were blinded by empty desires. And here's the spiritual truth. God didn't create you to be a consumer of illusions, but a builder of legacies. True intimacy, true connection, true service. These are the wells that never run dry. When you invest your energy in loving, serving, and multiplying talents, you step into the inheritance of an heir. And heirs do not waste, they multiply. So today, take the energy that has been misdirected and aim it at something eternal. Write that book, launch that business, pray with focus, serve someone in need, build something that outlives you. Every time you do this, you prove to yourself that you are not a slave to empty desire, but a child of God designed for abundance. Because prosperity is not only about what you resist, it's about what you build with the strength you've been given. The third hidden enemy of prosperity is fear disguised as prudence. When fear shows itself openly, it can sometimes protect us from danger. But when it dresses up as caution, it becomes a prison. It whispers phrases that sound wise but chain. Your potential. It's not the right time. Better not risk it now. Wait until everything is perfect. And while you wait, opportunities pass by like trains you never boarded. Think of the servant in Jesus' parable who buried his talent in the ground. Out of fear, he thought he was being prudent. But the master returned and called him wicked and lazy, because what he had buried was meant to multiply. That is what fear in disguise does. It convinces you that inaction is safety, when in reality, it is slow death. Napoleon Hill observed the same pattern. Those who prosper decide quickly and act boldly. Those who fail often hesitate, overanalyze, and watch opportunities slip away. The truth is simple. Life does not always give you a second chance. Seasons of planting do not last forever. The harvest waits only for those who sow in time. The danger is that fear disguised as prudence even receives applause. People will say, "How wise, how careful." Yet behind the applause is a wasted destiny. The voice that says, "Not now," sounds rational, but it is the voice of paralysis. And paralysis is costly. It robs confidence, identity, and faith. Every time you yield to that disguised fear, you tell your soul, "I can't." And the more you repeat it, the more it becomes your reality. But here is the truth that sets you free. Courage is not the absence of fear, but movement despite it. The Bible says God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-discipline. 2 Timothy 1:7. This means fear is never the final word. It can be turned into fuel if you choose to act anyway. One practical key is to treat fear like a compass. Often, the very thing that scares you most is the thing that would grow you the most. If starting a business terrifies you, it may be because your calling lies in building something that impacts lives. If speaking in public makes you tremble, perhaps your voice is the tool God intends to use to heal others. Instead of avoiding fear, ask, "What truth is this fear pointing me toward?" Another tool is the worst-case scenario exercise. Write down what would actually happen if you acted. Usually, the fear in your mind is 10 times greater than the reality. Once you see that the risks are manageable, the cost of inaction suddenly looks far heavier than the cost of trying. And when the moment comes, use the 5-second rule. Do not let overthinking choke your courage. Count down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and move. Send the message. Take the step. Plant the seed. Every time you do this, you rewrite your identity, proving to yourself, "I am a person who acts, not a person who hides." Above all, remember this: God multiplies seeds that are planted, not seeds that are buried. Waiting for perfect conditions is like waiting for a storm-free season. It never comes. The perfect moment is the one you decide to act. So ask yourself, how many harvests have been lost because you called fear prudence? How many doors stayed closed because you never knocked? The past cannot be changed, but the future is still in your hands. Choose courage today. Choose movement. Choose to plant, even trembling. Because prosperity is not promised to those who wait, but to those who act in faith.